about a few of the black leaders,
Sure.
real quick. Well, it's probably tied in too, but we might get a little more of this. We put it on YouTube for no, this Marcus Garvey was just so interesting. They don't teach him in our schools. Like, that's insane to me.
We don't, as black people, we don't even learn it. You have to do your own independent research. And yet he's one of arguably our mightiest leader. The reason I say that, he had, how many chapters? Okay, just to give you an idea, he had 50 chapters, I think, in Louisiana, 50 chapters in Cuba. That's just chapters. You had to have, I forget the number of people you had to have a chapter, hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they were chapters in Kenya, like, not just America, the entire world. This how popular he was as a leader. He was from Jamaica, but from New York City, he would write a paper, and the black shoremen who would be on the boats that would go around the world, they would have to smuggle it because it was illegal in different countries. They would smuggle it and hide it under their coats, give it to somebody when they got offshore. A young person who learned how to read English would read it and memorize it in places like Kenya and places, and go and run to their village and recite the whole paper to them, because you get killed if you were caught with this paper. He was impacting the whole world from right here in America. The whole country loved this man. Like, we called him the Black Moses. Mm-hmm. He was like that leader. Actually,
so popular. That's why I saw how popular it was, and he wasn't taught. It's like, what the hell?
Every black movement since that time that we talk about that's really authentically black. And that's the thing. We got to be careful, because a lot of these movements, somebody else is really right.
They got the NAACP, I read, weren't they to be against his organization, to try to split it?
Yes. The judge on his trial was one of these people that was in the NAACP. And one of those people was the prosecutor. And 6 of the jurists that found him guilty were these groups.
And that's when they deported him, right? And they shut, because he had just this massive movement which was growing with, like, what exactly he's pushing? He was telling, like, black people to kind of be their own people, their own communities. It was more of a positive message he was pushing.
He said, up you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. He said, stop asking white people for things. Build what you need for yourself. Exactly. So we were building our own cleaners. We had our own communities. We had our own, people don't know, we had our own malls. In Black Wall Street, 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had like the wealthy, it was called Little Africa.
It was like a wealthy black, people don't know there was like wealthy, thriving, safe black communities.
Like all around the country.
Yeah.
And a lot of them got destroyed and burned down. But again, this group was a major instigator. Because again,
probably
the re-rising.
Surprised.
Yeah, once we get to talking about it, I'll say the name. So I'm not just talking. Not only was the Ku Klux Klan created and financed by them, but the second rise, where they got more dangerous in 1915, only happened because of them. Leo Frank case. We'll talk about that.
Good old Leo Frank. Yeah, I think like 5-10 minutes we'll switch over.
Okay.
Because it's all so tight in. Because everything I'm about to ask about, like Martin Luther King, and that's tight in. Let's go Malcolm X. I like Malcolm X a lot. He's a guy that he started out majorly anti-white, but I think he shifted more towards, he stayed pro-black, but he was also very big. And we need to clean up our own communities, get rid of the drugs. Like, we need to take responsibility for it. The white man cannot come and fix the black man. And he got that, but it's like, he was the one that was controversial, hated. He's not taught as much. Like, what's your opinions on Malcolm X?
Malcolm X, and a lot of people don't know this, his father and mother were Garveyites. See, everything that we see come after that came out of the Garvey movement.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was a disciple of him. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, he used to go to Garvey movements as a child with his father. So he became Muslim under the Nation of Islam, but he's one of our greatest leaders, one of our greatest orators, a real strong, brilliant man. Mm-hmm. Who got to the point where, again, he was talking about internationally the crisis that black people were in, how we're going to have to stand up and fight, and we're going to have to demand respect, and that means, if it means warfare, that's what we have to do to create our own sovereignty. And he said we got to control our own money.
Control your own money. Yeah, he got shot probably not too long after that.
Yes, because he started saying, who's controlling the money? And he started talking about who was controlling America.
Yeah,
he was talking about it.
Yes.
And he was saying they'll call you anti-something anytime you tell the truth about them. They okay with you talking about white people. And he said, we'll talk about that. But when they're the white people, then all of a sudden what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah, I saw I gave an interview something like, I was bashing the white man, got thrown up on TV, pushed. I went and bashed the other group. They didn't air that. That got pulled real quick.
Right.
He's like, oh, look who's coming, running the business areas, ripping us off.
There you
like,
go.
But he was really pushing a lot of self-improvement.
Yes.
Black people. That's what I liked. Yeah, he may have been a little racist for most of his life, but he was making black people better. That was
And the way we look at it, and this is a good nuance to talk about.
Racism isn't the biggest deal to me,
Well, but I'm gonna say we have a different perspective, black people and everybody else, on racism. The term.
Yeah.
There's a group of people who use that term a certain way. Yeah, we use it totally different.
Yeah.
From a black perspective, this is how we are. This is what we mean when we say racism. We're not talking about what y'all talk about. Most people are talking about racial hostility.
Yeah.
That could be any race. That's not what we're talking about. When we say racism, we're talking about the original system we were in America. It was called slavery. You don't have to put any qualifiers on that. Everybody knows it was bad.
Yeah, that's evil, bad.
Right.
Everyone agrees on that, or they should.
Right. Okay. For us, after slavery, there were other systems arguably as bad as that we have been subject to.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to call it slavery because it's not slavery. We're not chattel slavery.
The Jim Crow.
Right. What we call it is racism, white supremacy. That's just the term we use. So we're talking about specific to black people and the way we're abused and mistreated in this country by white people. White against black.
Yeah.
As a system, we're not talking about an individual with racial hostility. We're talking about going to a job and can't get it, not because I'm not qualified, but now all of a sudden I'm overqualified.
Yeah.
They'll find a reason to try to keep me to be unemployed, so as a man, I can't compete and take care of my family. We're talking about abuse from police officers that's unjustified. We're not talking about the guy that's robbing a bank. He probably got shot. He was robbing a bank. We're talking about the guy that's walking down the street minding his business, but got treated like he was robbing a bank. Mm-hmm. So when we say racism, we're not talking about the same thing. We're talking about a systematic, it has rules, and it is established, and it's targeted towards black men, but it affects black people in general. Mm-hmm. It's the post-slavery system of white against black abuse of black people in this country. We're not talking about racial hostility. So when the person said anybody can be racist, we don't see it that way. Yeah. Racism, all we're talking about is white against black people. Mm-hmm. That's how we use the term. Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DCRadical1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A beat before ODA and straight black pride.